diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Welcome in to Mississippi Live Weather at 6 on this very hot Sunday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lompon. I say very hot, maybe that's overselling things a little bit because we have some room to grow over the next couple days as those temperatures get a little bit hotter. And that's, of course, one of the big headlines because as we welcome you into our room-to-room weather center this evening, dangerous heat has returned and continues to build. And it's, again, both those factors there, that it's here, but it's actually going to get a bit worse. We expect it to peak, I'll say by midweek, maybe a little bit before that. Certainly temperatures are not at their peak at this point, nowhere near record setting. I don't think we're talking about record setting heat because the moisture is going to make it where it feels excessively hot. We do have those highest end heat warnings as well as watches for those warnings in effect. We'll look at those locations here in a minute. More significant rainfall chances are ahead, and that will eventually drop the temperature somewhat. Beginning this evening, where we left off last night, Cleveland out in the Delta, one of our newest cameras, again, joining up there with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers. Appreciate all those good folks as they have helped to put up this camera network around the region. It's 93, but again, we're adding 10 degrees to that, 102 what it feels like at this time, despite a little bit of a breeze showing up at that location there. 94, the official high, Tupelo Regional Airport for today, 73 the low. As you can see, that's pretty close to what we expect for this time of the year. So yes, while we are hot, as far as the actual thermometer is concerned, that's not the issue. It's the combination of the moisture and the heat, which it usually is this time of year around here. And that's why heat alerts as of 6:01 on this Sunday. The red one, not one we talk about that often, an extreme heat watch. Essentially, we are under all locations here in kind of the northeast portion of the state, really eastern portion of the state, in this oranger sort of color there, the heat advisory there. That's in effect for all of those locations. But where this red comes in here for basically all the National Weather Service Memphis's counties in our area, that's under the extreme heat watch, where they expect that the pink, which is the highest level alert, could expand in over the next couple of days. So where you see the pink out here for Sunflower County, out there closer to Batesville, out there towards Senatobia and Greenville and out into the Delta, all those locations are under the extreme heat warning, which is the highest level heat alert that the National Weather Service puts out. And so the red area where that could expand in over the next couple of days, certainly pretty likely we're going to have some issues there. Now, heat indices are down a little bit from their peak earlier this afternoon. Feels like 102 right now in Starkville, 100 degrees in Tupelo. And back out there, as you can see, out into locations in the Arkansas, 103, 104, 105 for those heat indices, some of those spots. Actual high temperatures, mid-90s. So again, we're not record-setting hot. It is the moisture component that obviously causes the issue. So as we look at your first 12 here, not impossible to see a rogue shower out there. Most of what we had, and again, we didn't have many, but most of what we had earlier on this afternoon have all pretty much died out. 90 degrees, that temperature still at 7 p.m. We're 82 by 10, 79s look toward 1 o'clock in the morning, and again, spending the overnight period dry with those low temperatures heading into the mid-70s by early tomorrow morning. We kind of missed that low in between the 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. time period there before those temperatures start spiking back up into the day. It doesn't take long before that happens. I want to jump to Batesville here as well as we're looking again. Some of the puffy clouds, we have not been able to break those through. We talked about how high pressure, the sinking air with that, going to suppress some of the rain chances today, tomorrow, about as dry as we get. That's what's happened there in Batesville right now. 102 the heat index at this time. A little bit of a breeze out there, thankfully, for those spots. 93 that actual temperature. And then down in Starkville, 91, so a little cooler, but the heat index, we only lose 1 degree there, so it feels like 102 on the campus of Mississippi State University as we look back toward the south. See how these clouds are not very tall? We call those flat cumulus because, again, they're not spreading up there. It's a sign that the atmosphere is struggling to really stretch those thunderstorms up. Thankfully, not. I think a lot of folks are really complaining too much about that. Here is a look at Mississippi Live weather radar. There's really not much, hardly anything out there at this point and time. We did have a few little pop-ups earlier this afternoon, watching a few up to the north. There's a front, again, way up to the north. That's a non-factor for us. It's going to be more this one. We look out back there toward the Dakotas. Well, that has some severe weather with that. That is kind of the next one upstream that we're eventually watching that could get a little bit closer to us. On our satellite perspective here, I'm going to show you in particular our visible satellite and just show you more than anything else the really lack of anything that's showing up there. I mean, we look for the white cloud tops to tell us higher cloud tops there. I mean, you can just see how most of the region just has not had much today. And that high pressure center down there in the Gulf is the reason why, the sinking air associated with that. So that's shifting back to the west. And that's going to leave us kind of in the clearer zone, obviously keeping us dry and mostly clear into tonight and tomorrow. As it eventually shifts up more northward, again, we're going to have wind that's coming from land. Anytime it's not coming from the Gulf, that gives us, well, whatever moisture we have, we just kind of bubble it out day by day in the form of these kind of clouds trying to bubble up. You notice there, and we'll look at this closer with Futurecast in a minute, a few showers the far northeast portion of the area depicted there as we go into tomorrow, perhaps for some locations. Not expecting a lot of meaningful moisture from that, but we are looking at the potential for maybe a couple of isolated showers around. We will look at that with the latest on Futurecast in a minute, but from mid-70s early, we're 87 by 9 a.m. Look at how quickly we're increasing there. I mean, practically 90 degrees at 9 a.m. Heat indices going to be above that. Excessively hot. That's why the dangerous heat putting us level when we look at that wet bulb globe temperature for all those outdoor activities, should you not. It's very high for tomorrow and the next couple of days. I mean, actual temperatures mid-90s by 3 p.m. Heat indices 105 to 110 and continue to be warm into tomorrow evening, obviously, as well. And that's the thing. Early in the day, if you have to do something outside the time period we're targeting more closely, in 60 seconds, we'll look in more detail at those excessively hot conditions and, in particular, look toward when they reach their peak and thankfully start to subside as Mississippi Live Weather at 6 continues right after this.
Your family deserves the most beautiful smile possible. At Tupelo Smiles, we use precision dentistry and advanced technology to make visiting the dentist an amazing experience. Relationship-based comprehensive care. Come discover the difference at Tupelo Smiles.
I was made for this, crawling through the muck to find where the real problems hide.
All this dampness, it's perfect for mold, and that can mean headaches, rashes, even chronic illness for your family.
That's why we offer our Healthy Home 7-point mold inspection, to restore your health by restoring your home.
Focusing on water and mold control from the crawl space to the roof, you can call Absolute Restoration, your local and trusted restoration contractor.
1 in 10 kids vape. Each vape pod can contain the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes.
The Health Class Film Guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Laubheim.
And it's very easy, even for us as, just normal people, adults, to say it's hot in summer. That's what it has. And that clearly is the case, obviously. But I want to lead again here with the heat alerts, excessive heat out there for all locations the next few days, where you see the pinks on here, that extreme heat warning for locations in the Delta, highest level heat alert that the National Weather Service issues. And so it's because of those heat indices, the fact that you sweat, it can't evaporate. Talked a lot about that recently. These red counties here, the extreme heat watch. Note the time frame. That in effect and through the first part there of Thursday. The thinking is between really now and Thursday, we could have the potential for those heat-related illnesses. I think they probably peak Tuesday, hopefully diminishing a little bit into Wednesday, but certainly we remain hot. All indications are absolutely the case that that is the case. So as we look, of course, advisories versus warnings, it all comes back to those heat indices, how high those are. When the heat indices are expected to be 105 or greater for 2+ hours, that's when those advisories are issued. And it's with that future potential that warnings could come out that those extreme heat watches are placed into effect. And that's, by the way the watch and warning structure goes anytime we're talking about it. Watch means conditions are favorable. Warning means it's happening. And so we have those warnings because it is happening in the Delta. We have those watches, again, where those red areas where we talked about a moment ago. Let's go ahead and go back one graphic just to show that here for just a second. Because again, this is that watch area where I think it's possible, more likely, that some of the pink counties could fill in there. We might even see some additions for some other locations as well. So again, that's where that watch and warning difference comes in there. Advisory kind of the beginning, watch says could happen, warning says will happen. And so all of that to say that obviously we are very hot in Greenville, showing that up as the case at this instant here. I mean, it just kind of has that desert movie sun sort of look to it. That despite the fact that obviously the Delta is not a desert. Just the way we have our camera here with the North Mississippi Storm Chaser tilted up so high. No rain on the radar screen there. And just those clouds fairly flat, only some high thin clouds. In a lot of ways, a beautiful looking day despite the fact that it's really hot if you're out there. Amory, similar story. Man, oh man, look at that number right there. And this always reads a little bit high at that Monroe County reporting station, but it shows the feels like temperature at 108. That dew point really is 79. I do think there's some spots near the Tom Bigby there and Buttahatchee that probably are up there around 108 for the heat index. Hopefully not the case for most locations, but certainly it is pretty hot, obviously. Day planner for tomorrow from 79 at 7 a.m. Again, low temperatures probably around 76, 77 at say 4 o'clock in the morning. By 7 a.m. though, we're already practically 80, 93 by noon, and 95 for tomorrow afternoon. This is before you take into effect what it will feel like with both the heat index, and we will look at that wet bulb globe temperature here in just a moment, as you can see, showing us that for your Monday at 3 p.m., and we'll look more at this here in a minute. We have quite a few spots where that black is showing up, especially out in the Delta. This is where that risk for heat injury is most significant. Not as great a potential for that at 3 p.m. on your Monday for locations to the east, but certainly those chances are going to increase. We'll look at that in more detail here in just a moment as we kind of each day kind of look ahead there. So overnight, Futurecast showing the conditions remaining dry and clear. High pressure sinking air with that largely is the story still, and that's what keeps us obviously dry throughout the overnight period in the first part of your Monday morning. Low temperatures on Monday will start around 76 in Greenwood, 76 degrees in Grenada, about 75 Eupora, 77 we show there in the Tupelo area, about 77 Senatobia, at 77 degrees, pretty common number there showing up in Columbus. So Futurecast keeping us dry for the most part. First part there of your Monday, 7:30, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning or so, still remaining pretty dry. A few more clouds starting to pop up, maybe a couple little sprinkles depicted here on Futurecast up here in the far northeast corner of the state, but not depicting a lot of moisture there. Certainly Futurecast was a little more bullish on the quantity of moisture yesterday. It does again have some isolated storms trying to pop up, a couple up here towards Savannah, Tennessee, few down around the Golden Triangle. More mist than hit, but trying to build in from the north and east. So this is where that 20% coverage comes in. Russellville back out here toward Oyuka, Boonville, Corinth, perhaps up toward around Ripley for your Monday in the afternoon. High temperatures getting up to around 101 for that actual high temperature Greenville. That might be a little aggressive here. We'll go 96 though, Cleveland, 98 degrees in Greenwood. Hey, we're still mid 90s is above our normal, but this is not record setting heat the way in which this is set up. It's going to be hot nonetheless. But here is the issue. That heat index, that future heat index, 110 Tunica, 111 there Clarksdale, and Cleveland. I mean, at coolest, I'm just looking here for a second. I guess I have Iuka at that instant coming in 102. That's part of the reason why that wet bulb globe temperatures weren't quite as bad up here for locations of our northeast part of the state. Still, we're at heat advisory levels. We need to be probably trying to shorten some of those practices or at least direct them around. So yeah, for Kathy there in Tishmingo, just happened to look down and see you. Yeah, tomorrow you're one of our better locations as far as this is concerned. Still hot, but maybe not quite as extreme. So as we kind of fast forward, look at Tuesday, and then we'll look at all the components that go along with this. Notice that even there in Iuka or out in Amory or Columbus or Starkville, we're in this black category. That is extreme on our list here. Extreme meaning that it's most likely that we could have some heat injury in that situation. And this is where when coaches or even employers that have employees that have to work out in this, Be very, very cautious. If you're in this black zone and you're exerting yourself during that time period in the afternoon, the likelihood of some kind of heat injury increases dramatically. That's the reason why, again, heat, believe it or not, the number one weather-related killer, partially because we just don't take it seriously, right? So as we go into your Monday evening, still a few residual showers out there, but don't plan to have a lot. Our strike model showing a few of these trying to still pop up even 10 to 11 o'clock, but most locations fairly dry for tomorrow. It's one of the drier days we have going forward. It does flip as those rain chances get a little greater in the extended forecast. So as we look at early Tuesday morning, notice how we do have a few isolated storms trying to pop up. And we'll look at this on the wider shot here in a minute. By that point, our high pressure center has kind of kicked out toward the west here, right? Down there closer to Houston, Texas. So that's out southwest of us. And so we're kind of on this zone where you typically would say, okay, well, we're bringing in drier air. But a lot of times you have these little disturbances that are coming around. And we'll look at this with the jet stream in a minute. One of those disturbances gets overhead, and that's where some of our rain chances become slightly more likely into your Tuesday and then eventually Wednesday and Thursday as we eventually open the door for a front to move into the region there. But you can see by midday Tuesday, not many storms. Futurecast here showing maybe a couple more. This one has tendency to overdo it in this sort of pattern, but it does show some isolated storms out there. And let's hope that's the case, because if not, we're probably upper 90s for those highs. So we need some rain cooled air out there. And I do think if we hit the upper 90s, hopefully that'll be the convective temperature. We start popping up a couple thunderstorms. But I think that drier flow from the northwest is the reason why we might have, again, a few spots close to the triple digit point. Some spotty showers and thunderstorms out there. I say spotty, it looks like Futurecast there tries to get a lot more going toward the east, and that does start the pattern where rain chances get a lot more likely beyond that. So high temperatures on your Tuesday, we're going 100 Belzona, 101 there in Greenville, about 99 in Houston. We're showing 98 in the Tupelo area, and about 95 for Louisville, one of our cooler locations. The heat indices were all really hot. I mean, we're showing up 115 there, Clarksdale, 110 Belzona, 111 for, very common number there, Grenada, Greenwood, Cleveland, and Greenville, all there. I mean, at coolest, I show, about 107, got 105 down there, Louisville and Kosciuszko. Again, that is really hot, obviously. And that's the reason why that heat danger is so significant on Tuesday. But notice by Wednesday, as we look ahead toward that, not showing up as significantly, right? So that is part of the greater quantity of rainfall, diminishing that heat danger. And again, we're looking at one of the peak time periods of the day, 3 p.m. on your Thursday. Still a lot of spots in the Delta where that's the case. As I reverse it one graphic here just for a moment, comparison speaking, all the way from now through Thursday, Clarksdale out there toward around locations in the Delta and back into Arkansas there, more significant. But notice farther east where we have a greater quantity of showers, less issues. And by Friday, as a front moves into the area, things get, I'm not going to say a lot cooler, but they get extremely manageable as far as the heat danger is concerned related to that. We'll look at the wider pattern here in just a minute on that note. So we're going 98, probably the peak of our heat on your Tuesday. Rain coverage coming in around 30% or so. We're 50% on that rain coverage by your Wednesday, 60% by Thursday and Friday. Again, rainfall, the chance of us picking up some decent moisture, a lot greater by that point in time there. And we expect that probably at least some of those chances lingering in some significant form as we head into this upcoming weekend. So it does look like next weekend, a lot more rain chances than what we had for this one. We'll have a complete look again at that extended forecast here in a couple of minutes. Also, some of your Weather Watcher pictures as Mississippi Live Weather at 6 continues.
At Room to Room, did you know our specialty is custom ordered upholstery? Get the furniture you want and the fabric and color selection you want. With our free design service, we won't let you make a mistake.
When people are fed, futures are nourished. They can connect with the world around them, unlock endless possibilities, and thrive. Join the movement to end hunger. Volunteer. Advocate. Donate. Go to feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Well, welcome back. Of course, we appreciate all the photographs you send in. Not as many photographs coming in today, but that's kind of typically expected when, we don't have as many pretty showers out there. And certainly that has been the case for today where we've been a little drier. Josh in Pontotoc, though, with one of those cumulus clouds, about as much vertical development as we've got off of anything today. Appreciate that picture there. A lot of blue, though, showing up in the skies. We did have some things bubbling up, just didn't have nearly as many showers as what we had yesterday. A beautiful shot here. I want to tell you, there are a few things I miss more from growing up in Kansas, at least where we live here in Mississippi, than the Milky Way. I try to explain this to my kids. It's like, hey, you go out there, you get far enough away from the lights, and you can really see it. I'll take more of these pictures, willing to send them in. They are hard to capture, of course, with phones there, but cool shot there of the Milky Way sent in by Mandy between Thaxton and Hurricane. You get out there far enough, obviously, good shot, but I just love them. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit on it because I just absolutely love the detail that Mandy was able to kind of capture in this there on a clear light night. It's one of those things from my childhood that I'll just admit I miss, that I don't get to see as often. Every time we're kind of out in the middle of nowhere on a family trip, I force everybody, hold on, we're not going to get there quite as fast, and we'll stop and look at this. And then Bobby there in Rienzi. This one I think coming from last night's storms, where you just happen to have obviously the dark cloud there, and then just the way the sun angle hit it, just the top of that anvil, we call the top of the thunderstorm here, the anvil there that's starting to form, capturing those last rays of sunlight. Appreciate Bobby and Rienzi. All these pictures submitted using the Mississippi Live Weather app, of course, the way in which you can interact with us and send your pictures in. Hey, by the way, we don't do shout outs on TV. People always say, hey, give me a shout out. Well, let's say this. What we do is show your weather pictures, so it's about the only way we end up doing a shout out if we select one of those here. And appreciate, again, a lot of weather pictures coming in last night, not quite as many today, so that increases your odds. We'll be able to show one of those coming up at 10 o'clock tonight. So on kind of the wider shot here, looking at Mississippi Live Weather Radar, there's just not a lot of precipitation out there. As we've talked about it, high pressure is the story down toward the Gulf. Probably a better way to show that here is using our combination of jet stream. We've got a lot of stuff layered on here. And in particular, we're looking for kind of those mid-level disturbances. That'll show us where some of the rain chances are. But the first thing I want to show off here for a moment is this kind of circle you see in the middle there. This is our ridge of high pressure. When you think of a ridge, there's a lot of ways in which you could describe it. Hill, well, it's not technically that. That's part of the reason we think of it like that trough, a dip there, kind of like a trough you drink out of, or not you drink out of, maybe cattle drink out of. And then the ridge there showing up. So we are dead center of the ridge. That's the reason we have the dome of heat really building on top of us as we go into and through this week. As we progress, though, into the week, that does start to kind of move eastward. And you'll notice the circle that represents the center of that kind of falls apart there. We have a couple other things going on here. We have, again, increased coverage of some rain chances there starting to show up in our area by your Tuesday there. And you see a little more of that yellow and orange is showing up there where we have some of that mid-level lift. Despite the fact we still largely have that high pressure, that ridge and control, we do have some spots where we have more of that energy coming in. You did notice just kind of this counterclockwise area moving in from Atlanta that direction. That's one of the factors helping to enhance rain chances by Wednesday. And notice where it's kind of spotty showing up there on Wednesday. Not the case by Thursday and Friday. We're kind of in this zone where we have that enhanced bit of mid-level lift. I don't show the fronts on this particular map here, but we do have one that's moving into the area later next week. That will have a bit of an impact on temperatures, but we stay in this zone. We'll at least have spotty rainfall chances you can see into Saturday. Also, as we go beyond that, eventually into Sunday as well. So a lot of indications there that rain chances come back in possibly a fairly decent way. We'll see how far south that front pushes. This time of year, beginning part of August, which we're not there yet, but man, by that point we will be, won't we? Man, this month has really flown by. Appreciate y'all for supporting us this first month on the air here. I just want to throw that out while I'm thinking about it. But the fact that that front's pushed so far south, that doesn't typically happen very often this time of year. I'm going to expect it to stall slightly farther north. That's why I'm keeping rain chances, retaining them in a little bit greater because of that. Speaking to the rain chance potential here, obviously today the chances have not been very significant out there. They remain spotty through tomorrow as well as Tuesday. But when you get beyond that, that's when the rain chances get a little bit more likely. Where you see kind of the blues on here. Listen, this is not extreme, but we're showing quarter inch or so possible there on Wednesday on kind of a widespread scale. But with thunderstorms, it's more like an inch and a half here, nothing there. It's just the opportunity to pick up more rainfall, getting a little bit greater as we go toward your Wednesday. By Thursday, the opportunity getting quite a bit greater. And I'll slide this over so we can see folks there out in the Delta a little more effectively. But again, quite a few spots were half-inch possible out there, quarter-inch or so. As we get closer to Friday, at least in the latest expectations there, perhaps shifting a little bit east. I think that's aggressive on the positioning. Certainly, though, over the next week, essentially, the next 7 days, you can see the rainfall chances in some spots where we show some of the yellows there on the map, estimating out there in Alabama. Odds pretty good there, 2 inches or so of rainfall. We need some of the rainfall because we just have not been very effective at picking up this month. Give me a moment to kind of pull it up here. There we are, looking at drought conditions. I want to look at the 30-day percent of normal. And I'll clear all those off for a moment. Where you see kind of the orangish sort of colors there, that's, again, gray is right on par for what we expect. So when you're in the greens, there are quite a few folks where, again, we're above what we typically expect for the month of July, essentially there. But a lot of spots, that's not the case, especially when I get out there toward Yalobusha County, Calhoun County. We're about a quarter of the rainfall in Calhoun County that we typically should see for the month of July. So things have not been particularly wet for quite a few spots over the course of this month. Obviously one of those things to keep in mind. We look at the Climate Prediction Center's outlook here. It's one of the ways in which we kind of look at the extended forecast there, the temperature outlook, and notice it's showing that August 2nd to August 6th timeframe there. So really, basically a week from now, you see blue. That blue is because of that overall shift. As that ridge shifts eastward, rainfall chances shift back in. The odds are greater. We're not talking about cold, but that we're not talking about the extreme heat in that extended forecast, looking in that 6 to 10 day time period. Of course, you get beyond that. It's a reminder that we at the old place used to have this, where are we map on the timeline of, are we in summer and we fall and whatever. This would be some false hint of maybe fall is kind of sort of thinking about coming no time soon, because obviously the farther extended forecast, deeper in the August there, 2 weeks out or so, the heat becomes more significant by that point and time. So we appreciate you joining us here this evening for Mississippi Live Weather at 6 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, we'll be looking at some of those rain chances and some of the model projections on the rainfall totals later this week. I do want to look through here real quick as we kind of pop things over here, just some of your questions, see if there's anything that we could talk about. Yeah, Trey there mentioning it has been a dry month. We appreciate you for watching us there. So someone was asking, what is the name of the Matt Lawpon app? There's an easy way to show that here. And it's this graphic right here. If you are watching us on Facebook, you know somebody that hasn't downloaded it yet. You can, of course, download it free and available for all those different devices, iPhone as well as Android. This is the way you do it. Snap a screenshot. And if you go to your pictures and just kind of tap on one of those QR codes, the boxes with kind of the speckles there in the corners, that is a way in which you can download our app. We do have, of course, the app for the folks that do have the Roku TVs. Apple TV is getting closer. I talked to my developer about that last evening. Apple's really finicky about the way they are on whether or not they're going to approve different things or allow different things. And so the fact that that is the case, you always got to be careful on making sure that you have everything perfect, and there's a couple things they've had to tweak. So that is probably still just a little bit away, unfortunately. We're hoping Fire Stick will be in here fairly quick. Sorry though, some of those things have taken a while. And if you watch on those different devices and you have a YouTube app, if you search for Mississippi Live Weather in there, we do our live streams on there. You can subscribe, and we appreciate all you that like and subscribe to us on all the different types of social media, especially YouTube, where obviously our following has considerably increased over the last month or so. So thank you for watching us on Mississippi Live Weather at 6. We will see you guys at 10 o'clock here for the very latest on getting you ready for your work week forecast and the extreme heat that unfortunately is here for a little while longer.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.